So the journey around the building, the sense of that trajectory that one takes as you traverse the building and then enter it. And then you don't see immediately that there is this site where the light is falling. You have to kind of discover it. That was all very intriguing to me as I looked and felt, as Dr. Weiss said, lived in the space. This is the wall. And of course, I spent a lot of time looking at that wall, looking at that great grand skylight. And the structure of the skylight became very compelling as something I might think about. So I began to sort of look at waterfalls. I took a week journey at the end of March 2008 or something, near where I am, upstate New York. There are hundreds of waterfalls where I am. And I began to just go on a little quest for waterfall. The idea of the waterfall, of course, came because there's such a great drop of space, and because of these other things that I'm talking about and my own proclivity towards a certain kind of landscape sense. I'd always wanted to do something about water and something about the waterfall. And as I go on, you'll hear me say a few more things about that. So starting with the actual waterfall, and then trying to find ways to gather it in and synthesize it as a design. I mean, you can't put an actual waterfall in the building, and in fact, that wouldn't be an art practice, you know. There's no art in nature. Artists teach us how to see art in nature. Artists teach us how to see nature. Nature is just wonderful old nature. So it's up to the artist in some ways. I think we know how to think and feel about nature because artists over the centuries have given us that information. But it's a matter of sort of taking this piece, this idea, and then trying to create a certain relationship between that and the facts of the building and the structure and the space of the building. And to find a way to wed those two things together, to come up with something that is new, but reflects some kind of attitude, perhaps, about the waterfall. While I was on my journey looking at waterfalls, I was reading a book by Ian Baker called Heart of the World. And it's a book about an explorer who tries to find this waterfall that's at the center of this canyon in the middle of the Himalayas, the deepest place on Earth. And it's a wonderful sort of saga about trying to go to this place that was basically something that occurred in myth and legend, and particularly Tibetan Buddhist legend. And finally, after 400 pages of interesting adventure, they do find the waterfall. And he writes about it, and this is something that kept going around in my mind as I was looking at these waterfalls on my journey around upstate New York. He wrote, "In reaching the waterfall at the bottom of the gorge, we had discovered something that was in fact no thing at all, but rather a dazzling display of light and waves. In Buddhist terms, its fluid dance of emptiness and appearance reflects the mind's innermost nature." At home in Reading, Pennsylvania, SkyWell Falls is framed by a well of space beneath a dramatic skylight. It combines my favorite elements: sensual physical structure, pure retinal enticement, and the illusion of infinite imaginary space. It is of the material world of gravity, yet simultaneously exists as a revelation of the mind's ability to transcend all boundaries. And finally, just a little poem about waterfall from one of my favorite poets. This is by Li Po. He's a Chinese poet from the Tang Dynasty. "Sunlight streams on the river stones. From high above, the river steadily plunges. 3,000 feet of sparkling water, the Milky Way pouring down from heaven." Thank you.